Hi, Judith. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
I'm so grateful to have you here this week. Not just with the SSO week, we get to do a music talk right now,
Yes, I know.
which is really great. In the stunning surroundings of Dervilla, with their brand new, they've got this whole exhibit on prairie skies.
Oh, wow.
So it's a pleasure to be here amongst the skies with you.
Absolutely. Same here. I'm so excited to be here.
You were here earlier this season,
Yes, I was.
and you're here later this season,
Yes, I am.
and you're here next season.
Yes.
So that's nice. I don't think we can talk about next season yet.
No, we can't.
No. No, I mean, we're getting very close to next
Yes.
season.
Yes.
And I can say you're here for a very important project next year.
Yes.
Like one of the biggest projects we've ever done. So that's really exciting.
Yes.
That'll, they'll learn about it later. Work out. You're here this week for our next Master Series concert with two incredible pieces. We're going to get to Sleeping Beauty. It's the name of the concert and all that. I also want to highlight the fact that you created your own Sleeping Beauty suite
For
just
you.
for us.
Just for you guys.
We'll get to that. But we open the show with the Scottish Fantasy by Bruch and the unbelievable violinist Timothy Chewy.
Yes.
You have been working a lot with Timothy actually on the details.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us more.
Well, in the final movement, Heifetz has his own set of cuts, which
The great
actually,
violinist.
Yes.
Jascha
And
Heifetz.
which actually makes the work flow so much more beautifully. I mean, I don't want to say anything, against Brooke, who wrote a gorgeous, gorgeous work. And so there are 3 different versions of that. So Timothy and I have been in discussion about which version he would like.
Yeah, and it's a relatively new piece to him. Like this is his first season doing it. He's been doing it all over. He just did it in Seattle a few weeks ago, and so we're thrilled to be able to have him doing that. Tell us about the Brook. It's in 4 movements.
Yes, 4 movements.
And let's go through. So the first movement, what are we expecting?
Well, Brooke actually was in Munich and had access to all these documents, all this music, Scottish folk tunes, and I imagine it moved him so much that he took these tunes and he created this Scottish fantasy, and also one of the orchestra features is the harp. And that's kind of like a homage to the Celtic harp tradition, and it's such a beautiful work, and it's so moving. And I actually should really talk to you. I think we should have like Sleeping Beauty as a warm up,
Right.
for Timothy.
It's a meaty piece.
Yeah, it is incredible. It's so fabulous that I have heard Timothy play, and I guarantee that if you hear one note, hear him play one note, you're going to fall in love with him.
Yeah.
So
He is one of the great rising stars of the violin world
Yes.
across the globe.
Wow.
This is his 3rd time with us. First time I think was 2017. I was going to say he was just a kid, but he's still sort of just a kid. He's not that old. But he is one of the great rising stars, has won competitions all over the globe, performs with orchestras all over the globe. And it was his suggestion to do this piece.
Yes, that's right.
Because he really loves it. He's really quite taken with it. Each movement sort of tells its own little Highlands story or Scottish story.
Yes.
And you, like you said, the harp in it, kind of has that Celtic harp style to it. But so does the fiddle playing in a way. It kind of gives you this, the folklore of Scotland.
Yes, I think in particular the final movement. It's and I am going to pronounce it wrong. So sorry. And my father-in-law is Scottish. He's going to give me a hard time. Scots YA. I think that is how you pronounce it.
Yep.
And it is the most glorious tune. I mean, every single one of those tunes are just,
Yeah, that last movement's quite the romp.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. When you're preparing, this is a new concerto to you as well.
Yes.
Yeah, you've not.
No.
When you're preparing a new work that an artist has said, or it's not a new work, but a new to you work
Yes.
that an artist has said, I really want to do this.
Yes.
How do you approach that? Where do you start?
Well, I started the piano,
Yeah.
and I listen to as many different versions as possible, and then I go to the piano and I get it into my hands and into my head, and particularly when you're working with any soloist, especially such a phenomenal, sensitive artist like Timothy Chewy, you want to just be ready for every little thing that could happen. I find that that's the great thing about live music is that you could hear in the recording, but when it's live, the artist on stage is affected by what happened to who was he on the phone with this morning,
Yeah.
or what is he thinking about, or did all of a sudden a memory came into his mind as he's playing this really beautiful melody. And so we as the orchestra want to be ready to support him and to follow him. So I think that for me to work that on the piano is important so that it's in my hands and my head and my body, so that I could just listen and react.
Yeah. And it's interesting knowing Timothy as well as I do. I've been friends with him for a decade now. What I love about it is that even though we're only seeing it once, the orchestra will experience with him Friday night and Saturday afternoon. It'll be different each time.
Yes.
Tim is just that kind of an artist. He is an artist. He brings something new, like you say, that his day comes with him. His experience from last performance comes with him, and and his exceptional violin comes with him.
Oh my
It's not every day that we get to hear a Del Gesù on stage.
Oh my gosh.
And it's one of the most important violins that we could have with us this weekend. It's a very exciting opportunity to hear him play it. And those Stradivarius, there's lots of great instruments out there, but they must be played by great artists.
Yes.
So that's one of the things I'm excited for this weekend. It's a great piece. It shows off every emotion, but it's at the hands of this genius.
Yes.
He would be horribly embarrassed that I called him a genius, but he really is a genius, and I'm so thrilled that we get to enjoy it.
Yes, absolutely.
We've been talking about Sleeping Beauty for a long time.
Yes, that's the first time
Like,
we met.
Literally,
Yeah.
in the pandemic year,
Yes.
you were supposed to come and conduct Sleeping Beauty, and then I don't know what happened, really, frankly. You've been here many, many times, and we've just not
Yes.
done Sleeping Beauty.
Right. I think what happened was that when our first conversation, you said, well, the audience and orchestra, they both want to hear Swan Lake and
Oh, yeah.
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
So what do you think about, doing a concert featuring?
Yes.
And so from that conversation, you then said, well, maybe just Swan Lake this time, and we'll save Sleeping Beauty for another time. And I think that's how
We ended up here.
Yeah, and we ended up with us creating a special suite just for Saskatoon Symphony Orchestra and its audiences. So Swan Lake, there are suites out there that are maybe 20 minutes long or something, so on and so forth. But it doesn't really, I feel, adequately. It shows like the genius of Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
So we chose like things like mise en scène, stuff that really like what drives the story. And I think we are doing the same this time with Sleeping Beauty.
So it's important, I think, for the audience to know
Yes.
that you spend a lot of time on the stages of the ballet companies around the globe.
Yes.
Literally, I've heard your upcoming schedule for the next year and a half, and it's
fun.
It's all over the place. I won't give any spoilers out, but like you're on some of the great ballet stages of the world. It takes a special conductor to conduct ballet. It is a specific type of work. It's different from opera, which you do a lot of. It's different from orchestra, which you do a lot of.
Yes.
what gravitated you towards ballet?
Oh, that's a very good question. I, you know, I have to link it back to when my family and I first moved here from Hong Kong. I was 9, and although I studied English in Hong Kong, coming here, we didn't speak English all the
Right,
time, right?
yeah.
We spoke, Chinese or Cantonese. And so in my trying to navigate my new environment and my new country, and which I immediately love, yes, I was learning how to communicate, in English and learning about the culture, but the language that connected me was really music. And it was ballet music, because in Hong Kong, before I started studying piano at 6, I started studying ballet at 4. So that was my first connection to anything, any Western culture, and any kind of communication. So I think that's where my love from it came from. And so, you spend your whole life, and of course I had no talent whatsoever. I mean, come on. And so I after 10 years of tormenting myself, my parents said one or the other, and I said no problem.
Yeah.
But I continue being part of the ballet world. I play for ballet classes, and I always loved it. And when I graduated from university, my first job was as a pianist for the National Ballet of Canada. And so these first experiences, really stay with you. And also I truly love the art form, and I truly respect dancers and what they have to go through for their career. And as a musician, I appreciate that, a dancer is controlled by physics, and you can't stretch certain things too long. You can't make them, dance. There has to be a specific tempo that works for that specific dancer. So as a conductor, it's really exciting. It's like the best video game you can imagine, because you want to serve the art form, serve the choreographer, like serve the dancer, give that dancer the best tempo so that they can give their career-making performance. So that, yet at the same time, respect the music. So there's a lot of things that you have to juggle. And when you just get it exactly right, it's magical. Because in a way, ballet, you have to do, you have to do the math, right? Make sure the tempos are right. But at the same time, you also have to tell the story, which is operatic.
Yeah.
So you have all these things to consider, and that's why I love it so much.
And it drew you into conducting.
Somehow, yes, it did. It did, because I can't help it, even when I'm conducting symphony concerts or a symphony, I can't help, because of my ballet and opera background, to look at things with a narrative.
Yeah.
Like when we did the Ruth Gibbs, I mean, it was so, or like Shostakovich, like Brahms, Beethoven, like that somehow in the back of their mind they're telling their life story without a single word.
Right.
And ballet music is a little bit like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sleeping Beauty is not as instantly recognizable to the public as, say, Swan Lake or Nutcracker.
That's right.
Although it is, because, of course, Disney stole a bunch of the melodies for Sleeping Beauty. Oh, wow. So, to prep for the concert, go watch Sleeping Beauty on Disney Plus, and particularly, of course, the famous waltz.
Yes.
Which was a huge hit, still is, as part of the Sleeping Beauty. But it is probably among some of the best music Tchaikovsky ever put on the page.
Absolutely.
And so that's one of the things that I'm excited about when you talked about creating your own suite from it, is that idea of how do we juice this orange? How do we get the absolute most incredible stuff out of it?
Yes.
How did you pick and choose to create the suite?
Oh, that was really difficult.
Yeah.
I have to be honest. I think it took me a a few months, and even up till a year later. So, we had planned it, a year ago with exactly the numbers and that we were going to do in what order. And even up till a week ago, we were still making like small adjustments for many reasons. One, the music is so great. Two, we really want to be able to tell the story of the ballet, and how do you choose, right? Like it's just one amazing, beautiful, gorgeous, passionate, violent at times tune after the next. So yeah, it was not easy, nor is the music easy.
No, it's hard to play.
Yeah, but I always think with the great ballet music, like for example with Tchaikovsky, he wrote 3 that we really know. You mentioned. So the first one he did was Swan Lake, and then he did Nutcracker, and the last one was Sleeping Beauty. It's so great. Like, and when you listen to it, you hear so much of him.
Right.
In it, and I always think like, what a shame that it doesn't get featured by symphony orchestras, and what a shame that and there's nothing wrong. I love being in the pit. Orchestras, we love playing in the pit. There's no shame in that, but for the audience, like, how nice if just for one moment to take the orchestra out of the pit and put them on stage, so that when you're in the audience and you're watching this live, you could see actually where the sound is coming from.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, like, what is that melody? Who is playing that melody? Oh my gosh, is the bassoon, or is the combination of the bassoon and the trombones, and wow, like there's 2 moments that I chose, right? Because I particularly love percussion, and for this concert we put the percussion at the top so the audience can see, and there are 2 moments when the gong or the tam-tam goes. And I know that I've experienced where people have said to me, we were watching the ballet, the orchestra's in the pit, and all of a sudden this amazing, incredible sound came from the pit. What was it? I was like, that was the tam-tam. That was like when the whole kingdom woke up because the prince kissed Princess Aurora, and so it's magical.
Yeah.
So.
Now let's talk about orchestra setup, because you've moved everybody around.
Yeah, I know.
It's good. Everybody loves it. The orchestra is in heaven right now. Okay. It's different though.
Yes.
So in my time, I don't think we've had this set up. I'm sure the orchestra has sat this way before. Antiphonal violins, we're used to that. Particularly in Beethoven and in Mozart.
Yes.
You get that. The first violins are on this side of the stage, seconds are on the other, where the cellos often are. You have also taken arcelli and bass and moved them, so that they're sort of a bloodline to the rest of the orchestra.
Yes, usually those first and second violins are in a clump, and then beside them would be so if you're the audience, so it's like first and second violins, and somewhat in the middle
violas.
here, the violas, and then the cellos are here, and then way over there. Like way over there. It's the double basses.
Miles away.
Like, but why? Like, the double basses are so important. Like, I think double basses are really important. They're the foundation of every orchestral work, and particularly in the ballets of Tchaikovsky, because I think as an audience, the great tunes, right, are often doubled by the first and second violins, right, if the violins are playing, and so if you bought a ticket that's sitting over there, you're not going to get the same effect as if you bought a ticket that is over here. So, but if you split the first and the second violins, so they're in the front, like what do you call those? Those amazing speakers that
yes.
Right?
Like a bar, a speaker bar.
Yeah, a speaker bar. If you split them, everybody gets to hear how great that tune is, and as well in this particular ballet, the cello and the violas play together. Also in the Brook, they play together as a group, and so if you put them together in the center, and especially in this piece, the cello has a gorgeous solo in the second act. So our principal, Joel, he's going to be facing the front, and he's going to be playing right out into the audience. And when his section joins in and plays with him, they're all going to be, the sound is just going to go right into the house, as opposed to right into the wings.
Right.
And I was talking to Oksana,
Yes.
and she was saying, yeah, I can actually hear
Them, yeah.
the first violin so much better.
Yep.
So we're doing that, and also we're going to put the timpani up at the top.
Right at the back.
Right at the back,
Up
like
at the top, up
at
on the
top.
riser.
Yep. And beside him, we're going to put, so beside Daryl is going to be the percussion section, so the whole audience can see exactly when the whole kingdom wakes up. They'll watch the tam-tam go. And the other thing that we've done is we moved the double basses right into, almost into the heart of the string section, slightly to the left. Because when they're, I find, I mean, it works, some other repertoire works perfectly, but for this repertoire, I think it works better.
Yeah.
Because then the woodwinds can hear Troy and his section, and that makes my life much easier. See, I don't have to work as hard, when I've got somebody else keeping the beat
That's
for
good,
me.
I like that.
Yeah, I was talking to Troy after. I said, "So how does he goes?" He goes, "It's amazing. I can hear everyone." And I said, "Yeah, I think everyone can also hear you."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know I was really
No,
nervous.
everybody's
right?
excited.
Okay, I'm
and I'm
glad.
excited for the audience to experience it too. So.
Yeah.
How close to, how many times have you conducted Sleeping Beauty with the ballets?
Not as often as
Nutcracker.
as Nutcracker.
Fair.
Ooh, which I love. Genius,
great opera.
amazing.
Or great ballet, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know
it
what? It was a perfect way to describe it. It is an opera without words.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he
Yeah.
is. He's so good. I think I did a production in Hong Kong. I can't remember how many performances. There were a lot. I think maybe could be 10.
So
yeah.
how close to the Disney story is the ballet?
Okay, Guilty as Charged. I haven't seen this. I
You've
know.
never seen the
I
Disney's?
know.
Oh,
Homework
Judith.
tonight. Yeah, I have not.
It's amazing.
Seen
It really is charming. Yeah, it was one of the great achievements of those early Disney years. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think you would love it.
I would love it.
For the Dancing Owl alone.
Okay. Yeah, I need to see
Like, yeah. Okay, you should. Yeah.
I have to.
And then on Saturday at the concert, you can tell people whether or not it's an accurate
that. I am
Maleficent and all these wonderful characters
Sure.
come to life.
Oh yes.
Fairies and there was at one point we actually discussed, and this is a long time ago, we discussed hosting a rose ceremony. This is Valentine's weekend after all, but we did actually discuss
I know.
a bachelor-esque rose ceremony. We intelligently abandoned the idea.
No.
I think
we
it's a good idea. We moved on.
Yeah.
But it does have that sweeping romance for
Okay.
Valentine's Day.
You are very, how astute are you? Okay, so in the first act, you can't make this stuff up. There's a gorgeous, I think it's about maybe 6-minute part of the ballet. It's more commonly known as the Rose Adagio.
Yes.
And that happened during the coming out birthday party. She turned 16, and so the king and queen thought, well, it's time to introduce you to some boys, I suppose.
To the local boys.
To the local boys, 4 princes.
It's like a quinceañera.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I really wish we would have done the Bachelorette thing. Anyway, we should have. Okay, so she actually dances this Rose Adagio with these 4 princes, and each of them presents a rose. So that happened I don't know how far back the story of Sleeping Beauty goes. I think it's way further back than 1889 when this work, Tchaikovsky wrote the music. So just when you think Hollywood came up with The Bachelor, oh no.
No.
because each of these princes present her with a rose, and she has to choose.
Right.
But I don't think she chose anyone.
No, she didn't choose anyone.
No,
So it was a failed rose ceremony,
It
really,
was
is what you're
very,
saying.
yeah.
It was one of the duller episodes of The Bachelorette.
That's right.
Judy, it is always so much fun to have you in Saskatoon. The orchestra love working with you. The audience love it. Thank you so much for being here for Valentine's Day. You're also here for Valentine's Day next year,
I know. I am so excited.
where we go even a little farther with the love theme than we did with Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, please tell me we'll play the theme from Love Boat, because I love the Love Boat. Dynasty.
Dynasty,
Yeah.
The Love Boat, and more.
Yep.
Next Valentine's
Yes.
Day with Judith Yan. Thank you, Judith.
Thank you for having me.